maybe it's your own expectation. No matter where you've been or what you've done, there is light inside of you.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity, a recovery focused podcast with your host, Keegan. In today's episode, we speak to Crystal Robinson as she teaches us what radical responsibility can do for our lives and help us uncover the buried potential that's been buried by traumas of the past. Stick around for an insightful episode. And don't forget, Retrieving Sanity is going to be rebranded as Guidance in Recovery as we nail down the niche and help people in early recovery figure out how they can unpack their traumas to overcome their addictions. I mean, you had to dive into your own traumas and your own self rebuilding of sorts, right? Like, did you really utilize that engineering brain to help you do all that?
Of course, the structure. I had like a complete structure of my outline to begin with, and basically like a question for each structure because I wanted to put forth certain philosophies that I've learned in my certifications, my coaching, and the things that have helped me
Mm-hmm.
just be a better person, just have a happier life, be more fulfilled. All of those things I wanted to give to others. So I started with that structure. And then I was like, okay, what story in my life is short enough that I can show this structure and how this helped me? And that made it really interesting for me to like go ahead and write because stories came out that I didn't think were going to come out. And some of them I use over and over again in my coaching, specifically in group, because so many people can relate to them. Like silly stories about, arguing with my teenage kids or having an issue with the dishes and my husband, like, and really kind of the root of those and like where it goes into your upbringing and your conditioning and just your nervous system and listening to your nervous system. And most of us don't. Most of us are like, oh, that's not safe. So, then we get crazy. And it was really about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I was just about to ask, how much has your book and everything that you wrote in there really helped with that recovery group that you're a part of and actually help lead, right?
Yeah, yeah. I facilitate there as a holistic coach practitioner.
Mm.
I'm not the medical practitioner in that group. It's a group that is outpatient, so it's after people get out of rehab. This is the type of group they come in
Mhm.
for day programming. And originally they brought me in to like do meditations and maybe, some of my philosophies, but now I just do like my full-on workshops, full-on just discussions about boundaries and limiting beliefs and meaning and shadow and people in this position are just so ready for whatever it takes to help them move up with their lives, move on with their lives, just come out of this place that they're in. And that's what it was for me, but for me it was health, it wasn't addiction.
Mm.
So I can relate to them, and
Mhm.
they're always very surprised that like you're not in recovery. And I'm like, well, no, but that's not what I'm addicted to. I was
Yeah.
addicted to other things, and most of it was safety for
Mhm.
me and what that looked like.
That's a really good point. Like a lot of us don't realize that addiction isn't just alcohol or some other form of drug, but it's also a lot of behavioral things too. And I mean, addiction to safety is definitely one I haven't necessarily heard of, but I can say that I struggle with that myself too, because it's like, well, how am I going to take care of this if the safety is gone? And it just creates a whole whirlwind of problems. But one of the things that I heard right there was you talking about the gift of desperation. And it's one of those things that, like, I thought desperation was bad, but it's actually the thing that led me to actual recovery. So,
Right.
how does you see that in people all the time, right? They have the gift of desperation. So, what would you say is one of the things that most people either have or don't have whenever it comes to the good kind of desperation, if you will?
Yeah, I find, there's so many people out there that like live in a world that, whether it's addiction, whether it's just being miserable all the time, just thinking that that's where they're supposed to be and waiting for that rock bottom to happen before they actually say, "Oh, I want to make some changes in my life. This isn't how I want to live. I don't deserve this." And they're not taking what I call like radical responsibility for their own lives. Right? And
Yeah.
I think when you hit a rock bottom like that, you have no more choice. Whether it's health issues, in my case, like life or death situations, or addiction, which usually leads to life or death situations. Those are the things that are just like, okay, I have no other choice
Mhm.
because I'm at this bottom. And anything beyond this bottom is I'm not here. I don't exist.
Mm.
So if I want to exist, how do I want to exist? So it's like there's so much willingness to look at everything and how they can come out of it and what they want to be. And that's how I focus on what I work on. It's always
Mm.
forward focus. I've also increased my certifications. I'm now an advanced practitioner of solution focused brief therapy,
Ah.
which I find is amazing. I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach, but I love looking at the future, looking at the visions, looking at the dreams. Like, what do you really want in your life? And we know that you have superpowers. We know that you have a way to get there. How are we going to do it? And pulling that out of the people. And when somebody's at that rock bottom, they're just so willing to look at their good, but a lot of times they're not. Like they want to, but they want to push it down. They're like, no, no, I'm not good. I'm so bad. But the more you can show them they have those things by looking at their history, looking at the things that are important to them, and they start saying them and speaking them, and they're, oh wow, I do have these things. I have these qualities. I have these desires. I have these drives. I am a good person
Mm.
underneath all of this covering.
Mm. And do you think that a lot of people get that kind of mindset because of the expectations that other people place on them?
I think that's a huge piece of it. It's societal, it's parental, it's, even just the framework of what you grow up in.
Mm.
That you have to have that specific career, or you have to have a certain amount of money or a certain car or a certain house or a certain way of living. I know for me, that was a big thing. And a lot of people relate to that from what I've seen. And it's almost like it keeps you from doing what you really want. It keeps you from being the real you
Mm.
because you're like, this is what I should do. But anytime that word is in your vocabulary, you really should be questioning it.
But you just used it right there too.
Right. Should. Like, what does that mean?
Uh-huh.
Who says? Why? Right?
Yeah.
Let's question it.
Yeah, and I love that because it really is just one of those things of where does this kind of program come this program come from, if you will, because I've spoke to Emma Lyons and she is a huge proponent of that shame is bad all the way through. There's not good shame, and a lot of us get shamed into trying to be better, but it's like why can't we just be who we are, but you're
Mhm.
trying to help people figure out who they are in the first place.
Right. Right. Underneath all of that shame, blame, discomfort, all of
Mhm.
those things, like, let's shed them and see what's in there because
Yeah.
we're all human. We all have amazing souls and reasons for being here on this earth.
Yeah.
And you can just dig them out.
Yeah. So how do you help people figure themselves out without hitting rock bottom? Because I mean, you said that a lot of people have to be willing to accept that kind of stuff, but I mean, safety is a pretty good bet of not doing anything else.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the nervous system always wants you to be safe, right?
Hmm.
But the way that I think of it is, and this is what I'm working on for a future TED Talk, is like your nervous system's manipulating you into believing what is real, right?
Yeah.
And just because your brain says no, I'm not comfortable doing that, doesn't mean it's not good for you.
Mm.
It's growth, right?
Mm.
It's stepping out of your comfort zone. Um, and that doesn't mean like if there's a saber-toothed tiger running at you that it's not safe to run away. But I'm talking about like everyday life.
Oh.
And what I've noticed is those people that are willing to look at their lives differently that maybe on at rock bottom. No, they're overachieving. It's mostly like people that are just do everything for everybody else, constantly trying to like hit those markers of whether it's their career, whether it's their family life. And they don't necessarily have a rock bottom, but they're noticing the cracks everywhere.
Mm.
And they're noticing it because they're like, this isn't what I want to be, who I
Hmm.
want to be. Like maybe they're snapping at their kids. Maybe they're, not don't have a good relationship with their spouse or their significant other.
Mhm.
Maybe they're constantly arguing with them. Maybe this things are slipping at work. Like things start cracking and falling apart because the stress has just grown so much and their nervous system is just constantly like, I have to keep producing. I have to keep producing because that's the only thing that's going to prove that I'm worth it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And most people don't realize they don't have to prove themselves to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you just hit the nail right there for me too, because like being a guy in today's society, it's if I don't produce something, if I'm not doing something, then I'm not even capable or worthy of love. And that's one of those things is that it's like, well, that's not true. But the thing is that whenever everyone is looking at what you can do, it's like, well, what about just being a human? Because I mean, isn't that worth something at least?
I'm breathing.
Yeah. And
Yes.
sometimes it takes everything I have, or, especially in the past, it could take everything I had in me just to make it to the next moment. And that can be hard as hell too.
Right, right. And the things that we deal with on a day to day basis from the time we're born, I mean, just being born itself is traumatic,
Yeah.
right? And people forget that. Like, they forget, like, what we go through as human beings all through the process and where you are now.
Hmm.
If you're still alive,
Yeah.
then that's something.
Yeah.
You're still breathing.
Mhm. And, you just made me remember a line from a song, and in it says that, we're all brought into this world through blood and through pain, and it's like, yeah, there's no way around it. And I think that it's probably a good thing a lot of us can't remember being born because that would be really traumatic.
Yeah,
Talk about the ultimate safety and then getting thrown out into this world, you know?
right.
Like, no thanks.
Right. And I think a lot of people just forget that like everything that we go through in our life affects our nervous system, affects our brain, affects our spirit, and really like what do you want to keep and what are you ready to let go? We've all experienced trauma and we've all experienced more traumas throughout our lives and they're all different, but it's still trauma.
Mhm,
And do we hang on to that and become a victim? Most of us do that for a long time. I know I did.
mhm,
And until we take that radical responsibility for ourselves and be like, okay, I am responsible for some of that. Maybe not all of it, but some of it.
mm,
But I am completely responsible for what I do now.
mhm,
And all I can do is take the lessons with me. What did I learn?
mhm.
I
Yeah.
hope that kind of answers the question.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And I mean, you've got a really good point because whenever we look at the past, there's nothing we can do to change it. Like in the step work, we have steps 8 and 9, which are making amends. And like that is something that we can do moving forward, but we can't do anything about the past, you know. And trauma is one of those things that the more I learn about one of the weird things is that it can also make us not remember stuff. So, how do we work with trauma that's made us not remember things that may give us a beneficial experience standpoint of sorts?
Well, it's all again that willingness, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Anybody who's seeking to better themselves or change, it's the willingness. Am I willingness to go into the deep and the dark?
Hmm.
And what am I willing to do to have a better life?
Hmm.
To be the better person, to whatever it is that you define as what you want in your future.
Hmm.
Um, for some, maybe that isn't going into those traumas and digging in. For others, maybe they do want to go there.
Hmm.
I know for me at first, I didn't want to. I didn't want to go into, the traumas, the sexual abuse, anything that happened in my past.
Hmm.
And because we feel protected because we don't want to relive it again. Our nervous system is like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to think that, right?
Hmm.
Um, but there is that, again, that radical responsibility of, okay, if I go into that from a different standpoint, I'm an adult, I am safe, I lived through it. What can I learn from that experience?
Hmm.
What can I take with me? And what am I ready to let go of? What no longer needs to be part of me? We all have so many things that, like that shame thing, right?
Hmm.
Like, we're all human, we all do stuff. We can't live in that.
Yeah. So I guess part of what you also help teach people is how to carve their own path of a sorts, right?
Yeah, it totally is. Like, we are all different DNA.
Mhm.
Every single one of us. There's nothing the same, about us exactly. We all
Mhm.
have similarities. We're all
Mhm.
human,
Yeah.
but like, we're not exactly the same. So, like, your path is going to be completely different than somebody else, even if you're twins,
Mhm.
because your experiences, because of what makes you you, because of your spirit. And I'm so much a proponent of, no matter where you've been or what you've done, there is light inside of you.
Mm.
What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
Right? And that's why, like, in my book, I help people figure out purpose. I help people look at their shadows. Like, it's all part of you, and you have to have compassion for all of it.
So, what if someone didn't really have dreams growing up? Because I was one of the people that was like going on into like teenage years. It was like, probably never going to make it to 20. And then I got to 20 and it was like, well, shit. And then I was like, I'll never make it to 25. And it was like, well, shit. And then it was like, I'll never make it to 30. And now I'm here and past it. And I'm still like, fuck, I wish I had a game plan going this whole time.
Well, because dreams or vision or creativity,
Hmm.
that's all an imagination. That's all what spawns creation,
Mm.
right? Everything
Hmm.
that exists on this earth has come from some form of imagination and creativity.
Hmm.
The fact that we're talking to each other right now
Hmm.
over a computer, and we're, in different states.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that we, go around in cars, like,
Mhm,
there's so many things. Somebody had to dream that first.
mhm,
Somebody had to imagine that first. So I'd like to say that there is imagination and creation in you,
mhm.
but how much doubt is covering it up?
Ooh, yeah, I'd say that that is probably the kicker right there. Because, like you, I was kind of living my whole life based off of the expectations of others, and I didn't realize it until well along my own healing journey. And it's been quite a mind boggle because part of me still goes like to, but this mindset was safety because it means I can get a paycheck, I can pay the bills, I can do all this other stuff, and then everything else, like the podcast, is like a creative endeavor that's like that may not do anything like to make money with it, but at the same time, it's providing a space where we can have these kind of conversations that other people need to hear. So
Right.
I feel like something will come out of it somehow.
What I would ask is, what would be your ultimate dream for the podcast without holding back? Like, what could it look like a year from now?
It's
How would it change your life?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Is like the ultimate goal for it is to make some kind of nonprofit out of everything. But whenever I start doing the whole comparison, like, well, I don't have a master's in nonprofit organization, I don't have this kind of experience, I don't have a lot of money, and all this other stuff. It's like the doubt card starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger and casting a bigger shadow. So,
But what
uh,
do you have
uh,
instead?
that's a good question. Time. Now that I got laid off.
Time?
um. Mhm.
What else?
Uh, Connections, maybe? I honestly don't know.
What what about you makes you who you are as a podcaster?
I have no idea.
What do you think?
Genuinely don't know. My self-worth is still something I'm working on.
Mm, like, is there creativity there?
I
Is
hope
there
so.
imagination there?
I hope so.
I know there's empathy and compassion there because this is what you want to do for others,
Mhm.
right? Those are all amazing resources and superpowers of the human spirit. Taking those and, what can I do with this?
Mhm.
What have I done in the past with this? I got
Mm.
from rock bottom to where I am now,
True.
right? And I think that's the difference between those people who live a very fulfilling life
Mhm.
and feel safety,
Mhm.
freedom, right? And like, emotional, physical, financial safety and freedom isn't necessarily being a millionaire,
Yeah.
right? It's just feeling the day-to-day flow and not living in the anxiety of it.
Mm.
And
Okay.
it's what I have to do every day being a solopreneur now, right? I went from, a really nice paycheck as a vice president of engineering, climbed the corporate ladder, did all the things, and then left that. I
Mhm.
left it completely to write a book and coach others. And am I making the kind of money I was making then? No way. And but it's different because what I do is what I'm going to get back.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it for somebody else. I'm not doing it to prove myself. I'm doing it to help others. I'm doing it so that I'm out there in the world and that others can see their own light.
Mhm.
So my purpose is forward.
Mm.
And that's like the giving and the receiving is just the way the world works.
Mhm. Yeah. A form of alchemy, really, right?
Yeah, it totally is. And it's in the seven spiritual signs of success. It laws of success, like the giving and the receiving. And if you look at like most religions, it's going to happen somewhere in there.
Mhm.
It is part of it, and even in the 12 steps, right?
Mhm.
Like it's manifestation, it's creation. It's like what you will believe, you will achieve.
Mm.
So the more you don't believe, the more you will stay stuck.
Yeah.
It's just it's the way it happens, and I know I do it myself. Like,
Uh,
I go in the ups and downs. I'm not always, like, up here, like, "I can do it. I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna help people, and it's gonna be," the energy is gonna exchange.
mhm.
I'm also in the, "Okay, I'm doing all this work, and I'm not really seeing much this week," and then all of a sudden, something comes out of nowhere
Mhm.
when you start believing.
Yeah. Hmm. So, how do you make people help believe in themselves, right? Because that's kind of part of the ultimate goal that you help do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really just looking at your history,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Like, what do you really want in your life?
Mhm.
And when have you had it before? Because you can't want something you've never experienced.
I mean, true. Most people don't want trauma, but it just happens to them. But
Right.
usually, all the good things do kind of happen, but then they get buried by the traumas.
Right. Yeah. And that's like the peeling of the layers, right? That,
Mhm.
okay, what do I really, really want? For most people, that's happiness, that's
Mhm.
calmness, that's freedom, right?
Mhm.
It's not money, jets, houses, right? It's not those things, but you really have to dig in what you really, really want.
Mhm.
And once you figure out what that is, you'll know, okay, I did have this here.
Hmm.
What was different about my life?
Mhm.
How was I when I was getting that? How was
Mhm.
I, as a person? What did other
Uh,
people notice about me?
yeah.
What did I notice about me?
Hmm.
How am I that person still?
Yeah. So that's kind of weird because it does bring me back to the whole like part of like me not having self-worth is something that I believed in, I believed that I didn't have self-worth. I didn't believe I was worthy. And all my actions after that really just helped reinforce it, And I mean, even with this whole recovery journey, healing journey, I've gotten like the slightest little tiny bit of self-worth and belief, and it's done a lot. It's carried me to places I never thought I would be. Because I mean, I've never actually thought of having this all actually planned out. It's just kind of like you said with your leading the leading the recovery group. It just kind of fell in your lap, kind of like how what's happened with this is just fallen into mine.
And
So,
that's all based on that belief, right? It was like
mm,
my purpose is that I know that I'm meant to help people with
hmm
my own stories, with my own tactics and how I use that and how I can help other people.
hmm
And just keep putting that out there in the world. And then the synchronicities just show up,
yeah.
right? But like when you don't keep doing that,
hmm
you end up stagnant for a while. And
Mm,
we all do it. We all do it.
yeah.
Um, I just want to, go back to believe.
Just a quick interruption. Just a reminder Leave a like, leave a comment if you haven't already, and hit subscribe so that you can be up to date with the latest episodes as they come out. So, how do you get yourself out of that stagnant bubble of not feeling like on top of the world kind of stuff? Because if you try to stay on top of the world feeling, isn't that going to lead to a burnout of sorts?
No, actually, it's the opposite. The burnout comes from living in the I'm not good enough. So
Hmm.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I'm now in my second year as a full entrepreneur,
Uh
not
huh.
working for somebody else.
Uh huh.
And my first year, I didn't make even a quarter of what I made as a salary. I knew it was going to be hard. I had set the rhythm that I put away money. It's going to take this long to make my business successful enough to freedom, feel
Mm-hmm.
that freedom and enjoy it and all of that. And then I look at the end of the year, which just happened. So January was the beginning of the new year. My engineering job in December of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a book. Did two TV interviews. I have four national articles. I'm working in a recovery center. I have some one-on-one clients. I don't have a full docket of one-on-one clients. I have a few openings.
Uh huh.
But there's so many other things that I did in that year. So if I just sit in the humdrums of the profit and loss statement, where's that going to get me? That's
Nowhere.
just going to make me go, oh, am I going to quit?
Mm.
Am I going to go back to being an engineer? Hell no. Like, I am done with that. I know as soon as I start believing again and looking at, okay, look at what you did. What have you done in the past 12 months?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing to a lot of people. Why isn't that amazing to me?
Mm. Ooh. That's a good question. What was it that made you think that it wasn't amazing if you've had that thought happen quite often?
It's the money, right? It all comes back to the proof, right? The proving yourself. But who am I proving myself to now other than myself?
Yeah. Huh.
Right? And having coaches in your corner, mentors in your corner, that's what the reminders are for me, right? Having
Mhm.
those people that are available. I invest in having other coaches. I invest in a business coach. I invest in a personal coach. I have done years and years of therapy. I'm ready for just the coaching now. And that's what helps me move forward.
Uh-huh.
They remind me of my strengths when
Mhm.
I'm forgetting them.
Mm.
Right? And
Uh-huh.
that's what I do for others. So I should be consuming what I give because I'm going to go first. I'm going to show others this has happened. This is what I did to get out of it. Here's how I can help you.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, and then it goes right back to that giving and receiving aspect, right?
It's a constant, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's funny. One of my coaches, she talks about return on investment, right?
Mhm.
And I think this has to do with everything in our lives. No matter what you invest in, whether it's money, time, or energy, are you getting out of it what you put in?
Mm.
And that's not up to the container or the other person or whatever you're investing in. That's
Mhm.
up to you to take out of it what you need.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So that's a really interesting way to look at that because like you were saying, the proof is nowadays it's all money, right? Because that's what proves you're successful or not. Because damn, just being a human, we have to produce for the world, and money is the energy that brings that kind of stuff forward.
Yeah.
And energy, like you were saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but it can be through the communication. It can be through building support and getting support. And you said container. So what did you mean by container? Like ourselves and how we view ourselves?
Really, what I meant by that is like, what are you actually investing in for yourself? Right. And that
Okay.
could be a certification. Maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
6 month certification. Maybe it's online and self guided.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you go on and you do it, but you don't really put it all in. You kind of don't even do all of the modules or whatever they have on there. And maybe you pass the test, but barely pass the test. and then
Mm,
you're done and you get your certification. Did you get out of it what you put in? Yeah,
mm,
because you didn't put in a lot. So if you go all in and you're like, "Oh, I'm watching the videos, I'm doing all the work," whatever it is, you're using it all. I mean, the same thing with a book. Like if you pick
mm,
up a book and you read it and then you just put it aside and you don't like absorb it, reflect on it,
mm,
um what is the return on your investment of your time for reading that book?
mm. Okay. I
Right?
see
Like
what you're
how many
uh-huh.
self-help books do a lot of people read?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a really good point there because a lot of people will just read it and just be like, ah, that doesn't apply to me, or like, oh, I've already tried that. And it's one of those things that we can't necessarily put some stuff aside just because we think we know it. We have to actually reflect, we have to put it into practice. And that can look different from time to time because I know I'll sit there and I'll relearn a lesson that I learned a while back and just be like, oh, wait, hang on. I need to apply this again in my life.
That's what the universe does. If you don't understand the lesson the first time, it'll keep coming back.
Hmm.
For me, it was my health. One thing after another. It's just whacking me over the head. While you pay attention, you're dealing with a lot of stress. You're not dealing with your trauma. You're just
Uh-huh.
doing stuff for other people. It was just like one thing after another.
Hmm. So,
Now I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm not making very much money. Right? And I think that's the difference, right? It's like,
hmm.
am I concerned about that? Does that pop up? Do I start freaking out here and there? Yes. But
Hmm.
then I also do a launch or like I
Hmm.
said, do the book. And all of a sudden, okay, I get some money in. Like it's what I put out is what I get back.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Return on investment.
Yeah. So here's one scenario that I can think of. So whenever we're talking about return on investment, you were talking about like doing courses online or something. What about the person that's like in college and they're doing their damnedest to learn something and they still can't pass that test? Shouldn't they pass the test if they've put hours and hours and hours and hours into study?
Well, that all has to do with mindset, right? Testing
Mm,
is a process, it's a system. It
mm,
doesn't always tell the amount of knowledge a person has absorbed,
true.
right?
True.
And the
Mm-hmm.
way that I look at it is there's so many degrees out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
People go to certifications, degrees, whatever they do. Does that really matter in the end game? It doesn't. In
No.
most places, it doesn't. I mean, unless you're going to be a doctor or, a lawyer, then you have to pass those big tests.
Mm-hmm.
But you're living it every day, and the proof is in what you're doing every day. I was a vice president of engineering at a semiconductor company that works internationally for research and development,
Mm-hmm.
multi-million dollar company. I don't have a degree in engineering.
Hmm. Wow. Huh.
Okay. Like,
Uh-huh.
I didn't go to college. I went to night school. I went to a technical high school for drafting, and I have a very good engineering brain. And I grew up building go-karts with my dad,
uh,
right? So it's not about the test.
so, hmm, that's really interesting because I was sitting here like, you had a degree, right? If you're in working a big title like that, because I mean, nowadays you sit there and I mean, growing up, it was all about the message I was hearing from society was you got to go to college, you got to get a degree, do this, got to do that. And looking at job postings, it's like, well, to do this, you have to have a bachelor's or a master's in this. And it's also kind of like, do you really though? Like,
Right. Do you really?
uh huh.
Because do you know how many engineers I hired with master's degrees that I ended up firing?
Probably too many.
Way too many. I had some that came in that barely had like their associates. I had one that didn't even have a degree that was great. He went to a technical school again. He was just really good with his hands, really good with, problem solving and putting stuff together. But then like people that just came out of like the basic degrees and others were great at it and some were not. It's not about that piece of paper. I mean, think about all the different doctors in the world. Some of them are
Yeah.
great at what they do and some of them aren't. And it really has nothing to do with the piece of paper.
Mm. Ooh, that's a really good way to look at it. It's just another form of proof to other people and to meet their expectations, I guess.
Right. Was, maybe it's your own expectation. I'm
Mm.
not good enough unless I pass the test.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did this for my coaching. I did, my basic coaching certification, and I've done additional CE credits and additional certifications that haven't been huge. But I did
Mhm.
get my national board health and wellness certification. And the reason I did that is because of what other people think and see.
Mm.
And the philosophies, I don't always agree with all of them, but I knew them and could pass the test.
Mm. Okay. Huh.
So it's a certification that people are like, oh, she's national board certified. Yes, I am. And yes, I can run that track if I need to. But honestly, I run the holistic track, which is why I did what I did for my certifications before
Mhm.
I went and got that.
Gotcha.
And it's and how I discern what I add to it.
Oh, okay.
Right? If
Uh-huh.
I want to do any more added certifications, I have to do CEs every couple of years to keep that certification.
Mhm.
And, whether I spend a whole day summit on nervous system realignment or a whole day on solution focused brief therapy in a group, right? I'm getting my CE credits for that, but I'm
Mhm.
doing what I know is going to help people,
Mhm.
not just to do it for the CE.
Mm. Yeah. What you can bring out of it afterwards, right?
Right. How is it going to help me and how is it going to help the people I serve?
Mhm. Okay. Oof. I really like that. And I gotta ask, just because I'm curious, like, what philosophies did you not agree with, but you had to go run with anyways, just to get that certification?
Some of the ways it's very medical system type because it's national board health and wellness coach, so they're basing it on maybe working under doctors for lifestyle adjustment, for
Mhm.
helping people lose weight, not be in diabetes, not have heart disease, hypertension. It's really based on that model.
Mhm.
But even though it's based on that model, what you're doing is you're helping people with every facet of their life,
Mm.
right? Which can be
Mhm.
relationships, work, their self-worth, all of those things. And when you take the test, it's all about those things that are in the medical establishment. And
Mm.
I dealt with the medical establishment with all of my medical issues, and it did solve my problems.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that did solve my problems was the brain surgery. That did solve that problem. Um, but that was, taking a symptom and getting rid of it.
Mhm.
What caused it in the first place?
Stress.
Exactly. Right? The doctor can't help me with that.
No.
So that's kind of my discernment over that certification.
Mhm.
Um, I love a lot of the philosophies within it, and I can help people. I have helped people get off of blood pressure medications, get off of statins, lose weight, be healthier. Like I have. It's part of what I do, but it's not all of what I do.
Mm.
And that certification was very aligned with that. And it was also aligned with the original food pyramid and some of that stuff. And now they've actually changed it. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not on board with this because I'm a holistic nutrition. That's where I am. I'm not in, well, this is what the government says, so that's what you should do.
Yeah. uh,
I
I
am
mean, I do.
open to all the different ways. And, sometimes people think I'm a little crazy and they can think
Eh,
that.
no, I don't think that that would be the right label, because like you were saying, we have to be willing to evolve. And another word for evolve is adapt. And I think that if we aren't willing to adapt and try different things, then we can't grow. We can't help other people with whatever they may have, because not everyone that goes to you for help is going to have the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. And I am so much into the natural remedies, like
Hmm.
how to fix yourself your own way. What works
Hmm.
for you? Because every time we go to a medical establishment, they're just going to offer you medications.
Yeah.
And there is a time and place for them,
Hmm. Yeah.
but it's not the answer to everything.
No. Nope. Uh, for myself, I know that whenever I was younger, I was on Xanax for many years for anxiety and stuff. But little did I know it was just a band aid covering a festering wound. And
Yeah.
once the Xanax stopped, then the wound just got worse. But still wasn't addressing what was causing the wound in the first place. And after having addressed a lot of that stuff, I'm not saying that I'm healed all the way through it or anything, because I don't think there's ever necessarily healed per se, but there's
Mm.
healing, and that's a totally different process than just wallowing in self-pity all the time, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I dealt with the same thing. I was on anxiety medications. I think it was lorazepam as opposed to Xanax.
Uh,
They're all the same, right?
uh-huh.
Because I was in massive anxiety, panic attacks, and afraid I was going to die and
Mhm.
whatnot. Like I remember being on those meds and feeling numb.
Yeah.
It's just covering it up.
Mhm.
And pain medication has its time and place. It's the same thing. It's just covering it up. If you're
Mhm.
not going to the root and solving the root problem, like,
Mhm.
yeah, did I need pain medication right after brain surgery? Hell yeah. Because there was no way I was going to be able to heal without
Uh-huh.
relaxing my body. And when you're in pain, you can't relax. So that's
Mhm.
when you need it. But beyond that, right? Then you
Mhm.
have to find your ways of adapting, your root. Like, what's actually causing this pain? Is it worse because I'm thinking about it? Is it worse because I'm wallowing in it? Because that's the way illness in your body works. Oh,
Mhm.
you feel safe when you wallow in this misery? Okay, we'll give you more. That's the way my body was. Just because it feels safe doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of those things that keep people, like myself included, in those trauma cycles of sorts, you know, because it feels safe. Like, this is what I know, this is what the experience is. But at the same time, it's like, no, not necessarily. But that change is a scary aspect, you know, because it's like, what if I lose myself? What if I'm not who I thought I was? And that's always something that I think is really interesting whenever it comes to healing. It allows us to be who we are. And I think that that's awesome that you get to help people figure out who they are. If there was a medication for that, I think a lot of people would still say, no, thanks.
Yeah, because you're afraid of it, right? But
Huh.
it's the afraid of the unknown, right?
Hmm.
And that's a constant. I mean, what brings up in my head is that birth story, like afraid of the unknown. We're like coming into the unknown, right? We're always afraid of the unknown, and it's stepping into the uncomfortable that makes us grow and change and realize who we really are,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
more you stay in the same, oh, I know this, but it's miserable, like staying in an abusive relationship. Okay, I'm just going to stay here because I know it. It could be worse outside. Well, what if it's amazing outside?
Hmm. Yeah. And I
It
mean, that's,
usually is.
yeah. Whenever it comes to bad relationships like that, I think that that's one of the big ones that a lot of people have to work with. And sometimes that's even the relationship with ourselves, you know, and that's a hard one to kind of break free because, I mean, what is it like? I can run away from locations or whatever and all that, but I can't run away from how I talk to myself.
No, but you can change it,
Hmm.
right? You can change it, but it takes repetition. It
Hmm.
takes a constant vigilance, right? It takes systems to figure that out and how to do that. And that's what I had to do. I started writing like gratitude daily, even though there wasn't much that I was grateful for when I was dealing with stuff. I started looking at things differently. I started really digging into who I was,
Hmm.
knowing that no matter what I found, it couldn't be worse than how I felt at the time.
Ooh. Okay. Oof. And how would you rationalize that to, well, how did you rationalize that to yourself whenever some of the things may have been what were keeping you safe in the first place? Does that make sense?
Staying in victim mentality because you've been abused or used or manipulated or um just makes you constantly relive that, right?
Mm, mm,
And knowing what's on the other side is not that, but it's better, right? Whether
mm,
or not that's an illness, like living in a painful illness, living in chronic pain day after day after day, which is what I was living with lupus.
mm,
Um, knowing that there was less and less things I could do every day, that things were constantly being taken away from me. Like, what's the end game there? It's just misery.
mm.
So, yeah, I'm not going to live in that misery. It can't be worse. What's in my brain can't be worse than what I'm dealing with right now.
Okay. Huh. And I mean, I think that that's just a really good way to look at it too, because I don't know if I've heard that before to where it's like, well, what's on the other side is not going to be worse than where I'm at now, you know. I think that that would have gotten me to kind of start to change my perspective on a lot of stuff a lot sooner, but that's kind of the thing, is that I don't know if I was willing to hear that at the same time.
Right. Most people like to live in the catastrophe or
Yeah.
catastrophizing, right? The worry,
Mhm.
right? If I'm constantly worried, if I'm constantly, but what does that do to your nervous system? What does that do to your body?
It burns out.
You're right. Your vessel just can't handle that.
Mhm.
And you'll just be given other signals. And if you're not willing to listen to them, eventually you will hit a rock bottom. But most people will start listening and start making small changes. And if you're ready to make bigger ones, get yourself a coach, get yourself a mentor, get
Mhm.
yourself somebody, read more self help books, get your ROI, go
Yeah.
all in.
Get that return of investment. Uh,
Yeah.
I did forget to ask, where can people find you and your book if
So
they're
you can
looking?
find me and my book on my website. It's crystalmoonholistichealing.com. And you can also find me on social. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Crystal Moon Holistic Healing
Huh?
and LinkedIn under Crystal Robinson.
Awesome.
My book's also available on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. And you can find it directly through my website.
Okay. That's awesome. What does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today? And what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone else on that journey?
Retrieving sanity is a constant process,
Mm,
just like healing. You said earlier, healing, right? We're never healed. We're never completely sane or whatever somebody would say, right? We're an evolving species. We're an evolving spirit. Um, and I think the best way that you can do that is take radical responsibility for your own life, your mind, your body, your spirit, because you're the only one who's going to.
mm, okay. So that radical responsibility, it sounds like if we're not willing to take that responsibility, we can't do anything with anything else, right?
Really, you can. I mean, nobody's going to do it for you.
Mm, yeah. And I mean, I know that I was, for some reason, waiting for someone to save me from all my misery, and it does not work that way.
No, but once you decide,
Hmm.
I'm going to do it, I'm going to take care of myself.
Hmm.
It's that decision that's the switch.
Yeah.
And then every little thing you do from there just builds.
Hmm. Oof. And I mean, one of my questions is, though, what happens whenever something comes and tries to destroy it all?
Well, you always have to have contingency plans, right? Like
Uh-huh.
there's a contingency plan, like, okay, things happen, right? But the
Mhm.
difference is when you're doing the work and you're learning so much about yourself, it's not that life isn't going to throw your way.
Mhm.
It always is. But like for me, by the time the brain tumor happened, I was like, what the hell? Okay, let's do some research. Let's find a good surgeon. Like, I'd already been through so much. I had learned and grown from that I
Mhm.
knew this next experience, right? And the next one, okay, bring it. I've learned so much. I'm growing so much. I will do the work to get through it.
Mm. Ah, I that's just a great way to look at it. And it sounds like you were kind of using the past experiences not so much as a shield to prevent anything from happening, but more as a weapon to attack whatever was coming your way next time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you learn from your experiences, right? A lot of people
Mhm.
were sorry for the stuff that I had to go through. And I'm like, I'm not at all. If I
Mhm.
didn't dig them all out, like the trauma from when I was younger and start digging that out when I was dealing with the health problems, it wouldn't make me who I am today. And it wouldn't
Mhm.
make me capable of helping others.
Mhm. And I'm so glad that you did do all that, because it sounds like you're doing an amazing job at just everything whenever it comes to recovery and helping people heal.
Thank you. I try every day to do more. It makes me fulfilled, I guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. It really helps with that ROI, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just being in a group and having somebody be like, wow, I never thought of it that way before. That was really helpful. Those words make me feel so good. It was worth my hour time,
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
to help them step into the light, help them take the next step forward. And I want to help people in recovery. I want to help people in recovery from other things,
Hmm.
right?
And
Like
yeah.
overworking and being a perfectionist and not having self-worth, right?
Yeah, because recovery looks different for everyone, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from addictions, from traumas. It can be recovery from just old mindsets that don't benefit you anymore. So,
Yeah,
and I think that
that's the
that's,
work.
yeah, it is some work, and you're doing it, and I'm so happy for you, and just excited to speak to you again. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Uh, and I mean, I just got to say thank you for just doing what you do, because it means a lot to someone like me, and I know it means the world to the people that you help with, one on one or in the group. So
Thank you so much, Keegan. I love being on your podcast. I love having conversations with you, and I love the fact that you have this forum available. And I really can't wait to see what you're going to do with it in the future.
well, I'm right there with you because I have no idea where it's going to go. But with that being said, we are at the end of this episode. And everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And as always, this has been Keegan and this has been Crystal. And we will see y'all in the future. But you got to remember, try to love yourself, love others if you can, but got to love yourself first. And if you're having a mental health crisis, you can dial 988 to talk to someone, or text 741 if you don't want to pick up the phone and talk. But one way or another, just try to be kind to yourself and be the favorite version of yourself today, because that can change too. So with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. Much love. Stan.